Hey, so this is another video on how to do some stuff in Unreal, the point and click adventure game. If you want to use it for reference, awesome. If not, don't worry about it. It's how to program your character if they're moving left and right, how to flip that over, but then also how to add like animation changes depending on what's going on. So for instance, you can see that's the idle position. If I run, it changes the flip book, it changes the animation style, and then if I click to the other side, it changes over. Obviously, my idle animation is always facing right. I could draw a new one where he's facing more like forward, so he's always looking like standstill, but I'm kind of happy with just the fact that he does that. It doesn't really bother me too much. You could maybe program it so it flips the sprite depending on where you were, but I haven't done that, okay? But that's basically what this video is going to show you, is how to change animations, change flipbooks, create flipbooks, do all that business. So I will first of all move my camera out the way so you can see more of the coding. So first things first, obviously, if you know how to make sprites in Unreal, you can drag and drop your items into Unreal. It will make it a texture. You can then, for instance, I'll just show you quickly. So like, here's all my textures. You right click a texture, you can create a sprite or a 2D sprite if you're using 2D. If you're not using 2D and you're using 3D meshes and stuff, that's different. You can do that. This is just for 2D sprites, okay? So I have each frame of my run animation hand drawn and then imported as separate sprites, okay? And what I've done is I've created a flipbook. To do that, if you highlight all of your frames for your animation, you can right click, create flipbook. When you created a flipbook, you can have it program X amount of frames. You can change the layering of it all. You can change the speed of it. So for instance, if I change that to like 15, he runs like a madman, all that kind of stuff. So play around with how many frames per second, depending on how many drawings you've done and what you're going to be doing. But that's the main thing. And what you also need to do for your idle position is I've set that up as a flipbook as well. Because I'm changing flipbooks, my character needs to be a flipbook idle and running. It doesn't work if you have it as a 2D sprite and then you're changing the flipbook, because obviously it's not running a flipbook. So I'll show you how the character is built. So the character, pardon me, or the playable character that you have on screen, obviously has a sprite flipbook. So to do that, you can add flipbook paper flipbook, right? So the paper flipbook here is the main focus. So that's like what the character looks like. Over here you can see that I've chosen Corvio idle flipbook. So that's the idle position that he'll always be in when he's not moving. That's the idle one. So I've created a flipbook for my idle, I've created a flipbook for my run. If you have other animations, if you have hits, or you want it something to play when you pick up, you want him to do a different action, you'd create another flipbook. Technically, I guess you could use the same code on the object and do it that way, but I haven't done that. I've just got a run and a standstill. That's all I have. So I'll show you the coding for this. So there's two bits of code. So first one, don't know why that's come off of there, but we'll move it over. And we'll move that over there, and we'll move that over there. So you can see this basically on event tick, which basically means that every single frame it's going to check in my player blueprint to update the animation. It's going to check for velocity on the X value, because I'm only using the X value, okay? I'm not using Z or Y values. If you are, you could obviously have it so that he changes size, changes look. If you're going up and down, you could have different animations depending on different variables in location. I'm just using the X value left and right. So is it greater than, or sorry, less than 0? So if it becomes like +1 on the X value from where it was previously, the condition will go right. If it was true, it will set relative to 1. Now this X value here, the reason is +1 -1. So depending on if it goes past 0 or it goes plus plus minus, if it goes +1 on the X from where it was previously, it changes to relative. And if not, it changes the sprite to -1. Now the way that works is because in my sprite flipbook here, you have the rotation, scale, and flip, right? So if I was to rotate the X value by -1, it changes it and flips it over. You might have to see if yours is on the Y or the Z axis, depending on how you've set up your playable character. Okay, but that's the first part. That's so that when you go left or right, the character flipbook will flip left or right depending on the value of the X. If you're using left and right trajectory, if you're using something different, pardon me, this again might be slightly different for you. But that is set relative scale 3D, and it flips, and it's obviously got the core component coming off of the sprite. Okay, that's the main thing. Got to have the sprite, not anything else. You can just drag off there and connect them. Okay, so that's the first part of this. Second part is changing the flipbook animation so that when an action happens, it goes from there. Okay, so what we've got here is obviously we've got character movement, right, which is character movement component. So what we do is we create a custom animation, custom blueprint or custom event, which you can just right click and you can just do, pardon me, custom event, right? Add custom event, name it whatever you want. I've got mine as update animation. So we'll just go there, test, right? What you can do is you can drag off of that and you can go set flipbook. So set flipbook for the sprite, okay? That will drag off there. So we now have the sprite is being pulled from my character sheet and it's going to set the flipbook, but there's no conditions met, right? So the conditions are completely different. What we have here is we have all the flipbooks I've created in the game. So you just choose which one you want. So I have it so that it's set that the character movement will change to something slightly different. Now the way I've set it up is character movement. So you pull character movement down from here, drag off, and you can go for velocity, as you can see. So calculate velocity, vector length, and then I'm again only using one value. So the vector length is 0 greater than. It's the same value as my flip axis one was, right? Again, if yours is slightly different, you're using Z and Y, so you might have to amend this slightly. Vector length is less than or greater to, and then a select branch. Now the select branch, if this condition is met and it is true, it will change to the run animation. If it is false, it will do the idle flipbook animation. Return value, pop into your set flipbook, and that will then allow you to have a condition variable flipbook. If you just want it so that if you open this door, it plays X flipbook, you don't need this part. You could just have the custom event, it changes the flipbook depending on these conditions, done. Or do XYZ, play flipbook, and then change back to normal. On another thing is on event begin play, I set the sprite to a specific flipbook. Okay, so it sets flipbook on play. You can do this if you want to. You can have it so that when you first start, it's a different flipbook, and then it changes again afterwards. You can play around with it. But that is the main part of the code. That's all you need. So turning left and right, flipping this flipbook, changing flipbooks depending on variable length and vector length, which is just here. Hopefully you can see all the coding and it all makes sense to you, but that is how I've set it up. Again, there's probably 1,000 different ways you can set this up. Hopefully that helped you. If it did, let me know. If there's something else you need to know, I will try my best because this is as much as I figured out so far. All right, bye.